Okay, so picture this classic scenario. A husband and a wife are having a conversation. He hears literally every single word she says, but he completely, totally misses the underlying meaning, right? She feels ignored, he's just confused, and they both walk away totally frustrated. I mean, it's a tale as old as time, but why does that actually happen? Why do we so often hear, but just utterly fail to understand each other? Well, welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the actual mechanics of human communication. We're going to explore that hidden operating system that's just running in the background of all our interactions. Today, we are literally opening up the user manual for your mind. We're going to decode this fascinating framework called Neuro-Linguistic Programming, or, NLP for short. Now look, we aren't going to treat this like some dry academic psychological theory. No way. Instead, we're looking at this as a highly practical toolkit. Think of it as a way to literally operate your own brain. It's about building your self-confidence, managing all that intense stress of the modern workplace, and basically just taking control of your mental software. All right, so here's our exact roadmap for today. First, the mind's operating manual. Second, the 3 pillars of NLP. Third, maps, reality, and feedback. Fourth, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic processing. Fifth, reading eye accessing cues. And finally, number 6, reprogramming for positive outcomes. Let's jump right into section 1, the mind's operating manual. So let's break down this somewhat intimidating acronym, NLP. It's actually pretty simple once you look at it. Neuro just refers to our nervous system and our 5 senses, right? It's exactly how we gather data from the outside world. Linguistic represents our language, and that means both the verbal words we speak and the nonverbal stuff, like our posture or facial expressions. And programming, well, that's your mental software. These are those deeply ingrained habits, beliefs, and past experiences that are quietly guiding your behavior every single day. Essentially, NLP teaches us that our brains are just processing data. And the absolute coolest part, once you understand the code, you can actually rewrite it.
Moving on to section 2, the 3 pillars of NLP.
Now, these 3 pillars, they are absolutely crucial, especially if you're trying to navigate a stressful workplace or, say, boost your self-confidence. Pillar number 1 is outcome. You've got to know exactly what you want before you start any interaction. I mean, if you don't know your destination, how on earth can you steer the ship, right? Pillar 2 is sensory equate, which basically means sensory acuity. It means you are hyper-aware of your environment and the people in it. It's about really sharpening those observation skills to read the room. And pillar 3, flexibility. Guys, we are not programmed machines. If a strategy isn't working out, you must have the behavioral flexibility to pivot and try something else. Like if your presentation style just isn't landing with your boss, pivot. Adjust until you actually get that desired outcome. Section 3, maps, reality, and feedback. There is this incredibly famous NLP quote, "The map is not the territory." So what does that actually mean? Well, it means our perception of the world, which is heavily filtered through our own unique senses, our upbringing, our beliefs, is really just a subjective map. It is definitely not objective reality. So if you and a coworker clash over a project, you aren't actually clashing over reality itself, you're clashing because your maps are different. And the absolute beauty of this is, if the map isn't the territory, well, we can just change our map to change our world. And that leads perfectly into a second massive paradigm shift. There is no failure, only feedback and experience. Seriously, just imagine how much workplace stress would completely evaporate if we truly adopted this. Every misstep, every rejected proposal, every awkward conversation, it isn't a failure. It is simply valuable data revealing a wrong path. It fundamentally reprograms how we view setbacks, turning those obstacles into actual stepping stones on the road to success.
Okay, section 4, visual, auditory, and kinesthetic.
So, generally speaking, we all fall into one of 3 dominant systems for processing the world. First up, visual people. They process the world in pictures. You'll hear them use words like see, clear, or bright. Physically, they tend to stand with their heads up, maybe lean back a bit to take in the whole picture, and they usually breathe pretty shallowly, right up high in their chest. Then you have auditory people, who process via sound. They'll use words like hear, tune, or loud. They'll often tilt their heads, almost like they're listening closely, lean forward, and have a more rhythmic, mid-chest breathing pattern. Finally, kinesthetic people process through feelings. Their go-to words are touch, heavy, or smooth. They often look down, lean into conversations, and take really deep belly breaths. It's fascinating. By just observing someone's posture, their breathing, and their vocabulary, you can literally start speaking their language.
Which brings us to section 5, reading eye accessing cues.
Now, you might have noticed this before, but when you ask someone a complex question, their eyes will instinctively dart in a very specific direction right before they answer. As you can see, these eye movements actually reveal how the brain is physically searching its internal database for information. It's showing us whether they're looking for images, for sounds, or for feelings.
So, the really crucial point here is knowing how to read this compass. Generally speaking, if a person looks up, they are visually processing. They are literally trying to see the answer in their mind's eye. If they look horizontally, side to side, they are accessing their auditory system, trying to hear the information. And if they look down, well, they are usually tapping into their feelings, their kinesthetic system, or maybe engaging in some deep internal dialogue. Honestly, it sounds like a magic party trick, but it's actually an incredible practical tool for building empathy and understanding exactly how someone is experiencing a conversation in real time.
All right, our final section, number 6, reprogramming for positive outcomes.
To really understand why reprogramming is so vital, you have to look at this absolutely staggering comparison. Our conscious mind, the part we, think with daily, can only process about 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information per second. That's it. But our subconscious mind, oh man, it is processing over 2 million bits of information per second. It is this massive supercomputer storing literally every single memory, habit, and belief you have. So think about it. If your conscious goal is to be confident, but your 2 million bit subconscious is quietly running an old program of self-doubt, yeah, the subconscious is going to win every single time. And this brings us to a concept called internal harmony. To truly reduce stress and build lasting self-confidence, we have got to align the different parts of our subconscious so they aren't, constantly at war with each other. For example, if part of you wants to be this relentlessly dedicated, always-on employee, but another part wants to be a present, relaxed parent at home, you are going to feel a constant, exhausting internal friction. NLP aims to bring these competing drives into harmony, just making sure all parts of your subconscious are working together toward one unified outcome. But hey, to fix the code, we first need to know who wrote it, right? Where does our mental software even come from? Well, it originally comes from our parents in our earliest years, our schools, our friends, especially during adolescence, the media we consume, and crucially, our very own internal dialogue. Every single day, we are constantly programming ourselves with the stories we choose to tell ourselves. So, how do we overwrite the bad code? Here are the practical steps to do it. First, you have to make a firm, conscious decision to actually change. Second, your new mental commands must be entirely positive. This is key. The subconscious mind doesn't really process negatives well. Like if you say, I don't want to be stressed, your brain just latches onto the word stressed. Instead, you absolutely must state what you do want. And third, always use the present tense. Don't say, I will be confident tomorrow. No, say, I am confident. You have to feed that 2 million bit supercomputer the exact instructions it needs to accept this as your current reality right now. We have covered some truly incredible ground today. We've explored the core pillars of communication, decoded how to read people's sensory maps, and learned the basic rules of rewriting our own mental software to finally reduce stress and boost that confidence. The power is quite literally in your hands and, well, in your mind. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Now that you have the user manual to your mind, what is the very first thing you're going to reprogram?